So what are the three most important things that I look for when trading binary options? That is what we're going to be going over in this video. I'm going to be giving you guys my three top things that I look for when trading, and I'm not talking about the typical confirmations or the typical indicators or whatever the case may be. I'm giving you the actual trading styles and the things that I look to identify, and I'm also going to share with you my story as to how I even came up with this so that you can better understand it and start to become an absolute savage in the markets. But before we get into the video, if these three things help you out in any way, shape, or form, make sure you go ahead and you Hulk smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm, because I'm sure if you liked it, other people in the world will probably like it too. They just have to see it. So we gotta let YouTube know, all right? So with that being said, guys, let's roll tape, get into the video, and let's go. Feel just like a rock star. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Rico, aka RockStarrFX here, back with another video for you. And as I mentioned before, we're going to be talking about my top three things that I look to identify when I'm trading binary options. Now, before we get into the charts and really talking about or even looking at what it is that we're going to be going over today, I want to kind of give you guys a quick story of how I even came up with this, I would say, not necessarily style of trading, but I know that there are many different traders out there in the world, and there are many styles of trading. There are people that just trade naked. There are most binary options traders have no idea how to use price action, and they just use indicators, just keeping it real. And a lot of people sleep on reversals and stuff like that. So to understand my glory, you first must know the story. When I first started trading back in 2015, I absolutely sucked. I didn't know what I was doing. I was never really the sharpest tool in the shed. I wasn't a straight A student at all. And I was one of those people like you watching this video who I just wanted somebody else to do it all for me. I wanted the auto traders. I wanted the signals. I just wanted to make money, and that was it. And I had no real intent of really getting good at it until eventually I started to realize that I was actually really good at scalping. So for those of you who don't know what scalping is, it's short positions, just going for a few pips. And I'm talking about MetaTrader 4 right now, right? So just going for a few pips. And what I used to do is I would scalp about, honestly, about 5 to 10 pips, 15 at most. And what I would do is I would always twin trade, 2 positions open. I'll take profit on one and I'll trail my stop on the second position just to make some more money. But scalping was my go-to thing. And as I was scalping, there's a few things that I got good at in understanding, which was number one, reversal patterns and reversal candlesticks. And then number two, I started to use very little, but I started to use indicators like the stochastic. Now, this was something that I grew to love a lot because I sucked and I was absolutely horrible. And I just couldn't understand support and resistance. Like, I would draw up all these lines and it just wouldn't make sense to me. And like my support would get broken every trade, or my resistance would get broken every trade, and things were just not looking good. So like most of you, I'm sure some of you can relate. You draw the support and resistance, it doesn't work out. You start to question it if you're even doing it right. That was me. So scalping was perfect because if I can just identify a few reversal candles or even some reversal patterns and then pair that up with maybe like a stochastic, then all I needed to do was to clear about 5 to 10 pips, and I would always walk away and profit. So scalping on MetaTrader 4 is really where my trading journey began, because everything before that was literally just me trial and error, learning the basics, so on and so forth. Now in 2018, I got introduced to binary options, and because I literally just started making a lot of money on MetaTrader 4, it was something that to me was very complicated. It was hard to learn, right? Because I just started, I didn't want to get into binary options. I was always curious about it. I always seen how lit it looked, and it was fire, and I knew a lot of people that were trading it, but I never actually wanted to do it myself. And it wasn't until one of my very good friends made over $1 million within a year and a half of trading that I said, okay, cool, I gotta jump on this thing too. So I started to trade binary options in 2019. And as I was trading, being that I was already good at reversals, which by the way, binary options, you gotta understand reversals and market timing, right? But being that I was already good at reversals and I already knew how to use a few indicators, what I did was I started to study some of the other binary options traders that I knew just to see which indicators they used. The more I studied, the more I implemented, and the more I implemented, the more I came up with these 3 things right here that I think every binary options trader should use when trading binary options, especially if you want to stay consistent and profitable in the markets. So number one is price action, understanding support, resistance, and trend lines. Now, although SRTs for a lot of people seems to be something that's complicated, and I know a lot of you second guess and question whether your SRTs are correct, what I learned is over time, they're really not that complicated, and when trading binaries, being that it's time-based trading and we're not going for the huge pushes in the market, your SRTs doesn't really have to be perfect, and you don't really have to do much of a multiple time frame analysis or scale in. You can literally mark up your SRTs on the same exact time frame that you're trading on and still be very much accurate. Number 2 is indicators. So as you guys already know, if you see me trade a lot, you're gonna see that I do use a lot of indicators on my screen. When I say a lot, it's really not that many. I use Bollinger Bands, I use Stochastic, I use a DMI, and for the most part, those are the 3 main indicators that I use the most. So nothing too crazy at all. And then number 3, last but not least, is like I said before, understanding reversals and reversal patterns. So when I'm talking about reversal patterns, in my opinion, it could be anything from understanding the candlestick reversals to understanding an actual pattern like the teacup, for example. The teacup is one of my favorite reversal patterns where you're gonna get a nice retest of that resistance as it's coming up. It retests, it bounces off, and you get in for a quick sell. So now that you guys know the 3 things that I'm looking for when I trade, let's go ahead and put this on the actual charts so that you can get a more of a visual of not only how I do it, but how I put it together and actually implement it within all of my trades. Okay, so this is actually an example of a quick trade that I actually executed this morning. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you see that I actually made this prediction before it even happened, and I cleared this trade. Now, there was a few things that I was looking at when I was going ahead and identifying the potential setup with this trade right here. So as I was trading this, and yes, I do trade New York session in the morning. I usually get on by about 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm typically off the charts by 10:30, 1 hour. But as I was trading this, I was noticing a few things. So number 1, let me go ahead and just delete all the markups that I already have on here. Typically when I trade, I always look for, number 1, the easiest thing for me to see is indicator confirmations. So as I'm sifting through my watch list right here on the side, and I'm going up and down through each currency pair, just looking for potential setups to identify whether or not I should even be considering or looking at a currency pair, I stop here at USD JPY. Here's why. If you guys have watched some of my other binary option strategy videos, or one of my favorite strategies, which is the 3-step setup video that you guys, I know a lot of you have already seen it. If you haven't, definitely go check it out. I'll probably put a card right here on the screen for that. But the 3-step setup video is super fire, especially if you are brand new into the space of trading binary options. So I see a few things here. Number 1, we are at the bottom Bollinger Band, which is the blue line right here. Number 2, both of these indicators here on the bottom are oversold, getting ready to cross up into the overbought area. As a matter of fact, let me rewind a little bit more so that you guys can see it some more clearly. So this is more or less what I was looking at. Now, when I got on, I had actually seen this candle already making this move. And the candle has literally just opened. I did a multiple time frame. I usually trade on both the 3-minute and the 5-minute, and they were both telling me the same thing. So here's what I'm waiting for. As I'm waiting for my stochastics to cross up, you guys should already know about the stochastic cross, but as I'm waiting to get that nice clean cross, what I start to do in the meantime is I start to mark up some potential SRTs. So right off the bat, I see that obviously this is moving in more of an uptrend. And being that it's breaking out to the upside, it only makes sense to me that we should be looking for buys. So this looks like more of a confirmation for your boy. I go ahead, I take a trend line, I start at the very bottom, which is right here. Okay, let me show you how to do this. The very bottom, this is the lowest low of this area, right? And I pretty much connect the dots, making my way up to the current market. Now, we weren't necessarily here yet. So what I have to do is, I'm going to connect it to everywhere that it touched. Boom and boom. You guys see here, starts here, bounces off the trend line, bounces off the trend line. So now in my head, okay, cool. See, this is where you start to perfect your entry points when you're trading binaries. In my head, what I'm doing is I'm not going to enter this trade until I see a nice bounce at or near this trend line. So even though we're pretty close right now, I still don't even believe that this trade is ready. So here's what I do. I then look for some potential support or resistance at where I'm already trading at. Now, I want you guys to watch this because though most amateur traders would have jumped into this trade early, this is why I always tell our members here at NextGen, the NGT fam, it pays to wait. you have to be patient in binary options, because I'd much rather miss a trade, not make anything, not lose anything, than to get into a trade early and lose the trade, right? I want to win. So here's what I do. Being that I identified a potential resistance area right here based off of the previous highs, right? So we're going to go ahead. We're going to put this here. I like this better because this is a nice long wick right here. We can go ahead and we can put the resistance line right towards the middle of the wick, which will probably be right here. Now, lining this up, as you guys can see, this goes good, right? Right at the top of these candles, bottom of this candle, top of this candle. So this looks like a good area of resistance for me. So again, what am I looking for? Well, if we're looking at our SRTs, support, resistance, and trend lines, okay, this area right here should be my buying zone. Somewhere around here is where I'm looking to buy, right? So now we got two things that we're looking at, right? And my 3 steps. Number 1 is this. We got our indicators. So I'm waiting for these indicators to start pushing to the upside. I want the DMI to start crossing up. I want the stochastic to come oversold and then cross to the upside to exit the oversold area. But I also, on the actual chart itself, looking at the SRTs, I want it to come down and kind of get a bounce in between or on either my trend line or this resistance. Usually when you have it like this, right, it's going to come right in between. It'll probably break the trend line a little bit, wick it, pop up, right, wick the resistance, pop up. But either way, this little area right here, this small little triangular space, is where I'm looking to buy. So if I can get my indicator confirmations at the same time that we're getting the buy signals right here, boom, that is where we execute. So let's go ahead and fast forward a little bit here in the markets. Wow. So look at that. Unexpectedly, most of you would have been in that trade. Next candle completely dropped down. Now it's right there at our trend line. Let's see if it keeps going. Bada bing, bada boom. It comes down, and hopefully you guys seen that. I'll replay it one more time. But it comes down, hits the resistance, right? Previous resistance, now it's support, right? But hits the support, bounces right back up, and now we're in the buyer's market. So this is where the entry is at. Now, if we're lining this up with the indicators that we already used, what do I also get at that same exact moment? What I always talk about, that nice stochastic cross. Now, we could stop right there, but remember I said there are 3 things that I typically look for that makes my trade even stronger than most. And here's what it is. The last and final thing is reversals or reversal candles. And right here, you guys see we have what is called a dragonfly doji. So what this indicates and what this signals is that although the markets were pushing down, there was not enough strength or momentum to continue to push down, which is why we have this huge wick on the bottom. I'll go ahead and delete the yellow box so you can see it better. But we have the huge wick on the bottom, eventually pushing all the way back up and closing towards the top of the candle to what? Indicate that we are going up, baby. Now remember, in binary options, when you're trading, especially if you're turbo trading, you only have to be correct for about 1 to 2 candlesticks to go ahead and clear that trade. As you guys can see here, if we got in right here where we was originally supposed to be in at, we would have cleared the trade. If we would have got in at the dragonfly, which is a reversal candlestick, we would have still cleared the trade. You had 3, 6, 9 whole minutes to get in and get out of this trade. Typically, my trade expirations are about 3 to 5 minutes long, so I would have cleared this, and I did clear this. And hopefully, this made sense. So that's pretty much it for today, guys. By this time, you should have gotten some kind of value. Hopefully, you were taking notes on everything that I just said, and you're going to start to implement and look for these 3 things that I just mentioned. My top 3 things that I look for when I'm trading binary options, because the goal is this year, 2021, to make you an absolute savage on the charts. Now, if you're not already in it, make sure you join my Telegram channel. I'll have a link down in the description below. Smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm once again. And if you're not already done so and you're brand new to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe for some more videos like this, some more coaching, mentorship, tips, and tricks on how to trade in the financial markets. With that being said, this is your boy Rico, aka Rockstar. I'm out. Peace. Feel just like a rock star. To stay in tune with everything RockStarrFX, including coaching and one-on-one mentorship, make sure you join my personal Telegram group down in the description below at Teach Me to Trade. And if you haven't already done so, add me on Instagram as well at RockStarrFX.